Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where, as always, we talk about all the major indoor football leagues, whether that's the IFL, the NAL, the AF1, the AAL, or the TAL. But we got a lot to talk about today, as per usual. We've got some coaching hires, some elevations, some new branding for a team announced, and then we've also got a confirmation of a head coach in another league and an expansion franchise to talk about. So a little bit of everything today. Stick with us. And as Superfan Sports said, I know you guys love the metal in the morning as much as me, so here we go. All right, before we get into all the content for this morning, how are you gentlemen doing? Let's go to Cody first on this one.
I'm sad. My alma mater got their butts kicked over the week or over Thursday night. So Ferris State's mean. I don't like them, but there's a reason why they're 4 of the last 5 national championships in D2. So we'll lick our wounds, and Emporia State's going to get it next weekend. I'll tell you that much.
That's probably accurate. And for anybody who's not aware, Cody went to Pittsburgh State in Kansas, and they got walloped pretty bad this weekend. So, Krish, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing good. It's good to finally be back. I missed last week because I was on a flight. I wasn't, wrongfully suspended this time. So, it's good to be back, and excited to get back at it.
Here we go. Starting it off fast. Let's start it right away. All right, TJ, man, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Fortunately, my FCS team got weather delayed the other night and got suspended at halftime. So I'm kind of indifferent about that. But hey, I'm excited to talk some indoor and arena because I also missed last week. So
yeah, a couple 2-man shows in the weeks leading up to this week, but as you all know who are watching, believe it or not, we have lives outside of indoor football. Some of us have kids. We all have jobs. Krish is still in college, travels the world somehow as well. So, definitely at this point, we're all back. We're here for a great episode, and hopefully with everything goes according to plan, we'll have a pretty good guest on later on. I did not do a good job of being a producer this week and following up with him, so hopefully he'll be here. But on that note, let's run through some comments real quick before we get into the content. We got 1060 Dines checking in, Superfan Sports checking in, Ball Ridge Roy, Roger Beck, Firebird Dave. In the alley, of course, Sea Dog the Goat, Scott Levin. Speaking of which, Scott, we'll be talking about him more later on this episode. Definitely stay tuned. Hi, Brian says. Go Gorillas. Sister graduated from Pitt State. Love it. There you go. Got some fellow support there. Finger hovering over that Krish out button. It is. Who the heck is LCU over Northwestern State? A Gorillas, baby. And then NSU hasn't had much in my lifetime. So obviously a lot of college football fans in the house this morning, which is great. Obviously it's that time of year. As always, we kind of hit a point where everybody's kind of focused on it right after indoor football season ends, which I'm sure is by design. But we are here to talk indoor football and not college football. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. And the big news coming out of the AAL this past week was the fact that they have added the Texas Desperados to their franchise or their league for the 2026 season. Now, we did talk about this last week. Me and Cody did because of the fact that the news broke while we were live. But we had a little bit more time to digest it this week. We also have TJ and Krish back, so I figured this would be a good topic to kind of touch on a little bit more here today. So let's go to Krish first on this one. I know this is dangerous territory to allow Krish to go first, but I think we'll be okay here.
Yeah, so I'm aware. I was told that Jermaine Blakely, Spank, is going to be the head coach down there for East Texas. I don't even know where to start, to be honest. I mean, this is the ownership group that kind of let people, High and Dry and Corpus Christi, and in San Antonio, they did the same thing. So I'm kind of confused on how they even got in the league. But that might be that's my opinion. This is one of the more weaker expansion teams. Montgomery, in my opinion, is the strongest expansion team in the entire league. But that I'm kind of biased there. But that's my opinion, and that I like what they're doing in the community. I think East Texas, I'm not really sold on them. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
It's well put.
I understand why they want to put teams in Texas though, to make it easier for the Wildcats and the Wild Dogs cats. I don't know.
Wild Hogs.
Okay, there we go. And the Steam, right, to travel. So it's smart, but like, will the team be sustainable? I don't know. I don't think so. But that's fine.
I think they're obviously making a concerted effort to build out pockets of regional playing partners, which. Obviously the logic of adding the Texas Desperados when, as Krish mentioned, you got the North Texas Steam, you've also got the Texas Wild Hogs there. Obviously makes a lot of sense. You make for some solid travel there for those three teams. But what we have seen in the past, and is always a concern in these situations with any league that does this, is what happens if one of those teams goes away. All of a sudden, that puts a lot more strain on the rest of those teams that were planning on having two regional playing partners and now don't. So that'd be my one concern with that arrangement currently, but we'll see kind of how things go. TJ, you didn't get a chance to react to this last week either. What are your thoughts on Texas being added to the AAL in 2027?
I mean, it makes sense. Their expansion footprint, the movement down to Texas, down to the South, also helping, connect with travel, everything else. I kind of like it because it's, you risk oversaturation anytime there's a lot of teams in one market, but Texas is big enough, in my opinion, it might not make a difference. Now, Texas has been a rough area in the past, but one of the things that we have brought up is, what if you put enough teams either directly in Texas or close by, so you essentially have your own division, conference, whatever, almost in the South. You don't have to call it that, but again, to help with travel and everything else. So I think they're not only setting the league up for expansion going down to the South, maybe expanding out west a little bit, or maybe moving up to the Central again, something like that, but they also solidify those Texas teams by having shorter travel, everything else. And now all the South teams, they don't have to go up to the East every time they have an away game. So I really like the move. I think it's both for the league and for the teams. Pretty solid move.
Yeah, I mean, from a regional perspective, it definitely makes sense when you're looking at it that way. Cody, I know we kind of already spoke about this a little bit last week. Have you developed any more thoughts on the situation since then?
Yeah, I mean, you guys all kind of know my thoughts about how indoor and arena football in Texas can work, but also just really hasn't. And that's not to poo-poo on this. Having three teams in the same division, conference, league, whatever you want to call it, that can definitely help out travel, and it's definitely better than them going out to Western Texas, where there's a lot less population, a lot less density. So moving them out east gets you closer towards the Louisiana side, towards Montgomery, towards Columbus, and everything like that. So it's you do have travel partners, and then also you're trying to build out that northern pocket. You got Nebraska randomly right there. So I mean, there is a little bit of a travel connection from Nebraska all the way down to those three Texas teams. So will it work? I don't know, because I've always it's not a precedent here for me to say Texas teams just have a rough go about it. Even if you have a 12-team Texas league, you've seen how those have just not really worked in the past. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes, but you're also looking at it through this lens of, you have three expansion teams in Texas. Are all three going to work out? You need at least one of them to be established. So I will be curious, but at the same time, I'm not going to shoot this down and be like, it's never going to work. If these three teams can work together, you have a really good shot of, like you guys have all mentioned, creating this little pocket in Texas, this little triangle. It could work. You just need the right ownership, the right marketing, the right branding, everything like that. I think they're on their way towards it, but at the same time, what happens 6 months from now, 9 months from now.
And I want to clarify something too. You know, my biggest thing is everybody wants to see any league expand, right? We all, you know, all the fans are excited about expansion. Sometimes they worry more about that than the current teams in the league. But this league has gone from 4 to now 9 teams. You know, and they lost one with Wheeling going to National Arena League, right? They've gained 6 teams in one off season, so that's a big jump. So I'm interested to see, you know, how that turns out. Are they able to manage it? Because if they are, I mean, man, that would be amazing, really. So.
Me personally, I think when they are, you know, I do anticipate some bumps in the road. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think with this many expansion teams, if you don't have any bumps in the road, that would be quite literally unbelievable. You know, but at the same time, there's going to be bumps in the road for every new team. You know, with the level of impact they have on the franchise can vary, obviously. But at this point, as long as all these teams make it start to finish, all their players are paid, fed, housed as they were promised. I think the AAL comes out of this smelling like a rose. But you know, we're obviously projecting very far out here. We're not necessarily, you know, operating on fact. We're operating on hyperbole. So, you know, if everything here works, then the AL is going to look great. But we could say that about every year, every league every year. So, I mean, while we do hope that all these teams make it through the season and stuff like that, you know, it's going to be one of those things to watch as we go through this off season. Krish, you mentioned, was it Blakely that would be the head coach? How do you feel about that hire, assuming that's the guy?
Yeah, I mean, all respect to him, it's way too soon. I mean, he got let go, you know, in Amarillo after an 0-5 start down there, you know, so he's taking on this new opportunity. I mean, he does have, you know, some players he's kind of bringing with him. You know, Richie Anderson is one of his guys. You know, Laquiliante Gonzalez, who played for us in 2021, is one of his guys. So, you know, I feel like you can bring some players in that league. And, you know, I honestly think he can make the playoffs. And I honestly think that team, hopefully, you know, they play everything, right? If they do, right, I think that team can be the best team in Texas in the American Arena League. And I don't think it'll be close, to be honest. So that's my opinion.
That's a fair point. TJ, what are your thoughts on Blakely as the head coach shortly after his situation in Amarillo?
I'm kind of on the side with Krish. I like it. You know, he brings some experience to the table, and I think with bringing some of his guys in, but also just having kind of like a fresh start, just be able to coach. I'm seeing them as like I don't know. I mean, well, I guess maybe in Texas, I'll agree with Krish. I do see them being the best Texas team. I see them being like a fringe playoff team, making it into the playoffs, you know, this upcoming season.
Cody, any thoughts?
It's tough because I don't know if they're just going to go with 4 teams in the playoffs or they're going to try and go 8 and leave 1 out, and how they kind of want to do the playoffs for this upcoming year. They definitely have an opportunity to make the playoffs, but until we figure out full-blown rosters for all the 9 teams, until we figure out everything, I'm not sure. Like I said, like I can echo everyone and be like, hey, this guy's going to be great and the best team in Texas. This could also be the worst team in Texas until we figure out the rosters of the other 2 teams and how they're going to go about it. I'm just not sure. Like I said, Krish has his like preconceived notions on San Antonio with the Texas Wild Hogs and the North Texas Steam. It's not a shot at him, but he's mentioned that in the past. So it's like, could they be bad? Sure. Could they be good? Sure. I can't say. But like I said, they look poised for it. But until we figure everything out, we just don't know.
Well, one thing I know is, you know, Jermaine Blakely, you know, he sleeps in bed with Gabe Martinez and Nino Sports. So, you know, Gabe will spoon feed him players and leftovers too. So it'll be good.
That's an image I wish I never had in my head now.
Could have gone without that one myself.
Is that button broken?
No, it's definitely not broken. Just reserving the right for inflammatory comment. That one was just kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, but wow, Krish, you say some things sometimes it just makes me laugh. But
how dare a pro agent gives players to a team? I mean, what is he thinking? What is he thinking?
Yeah, Krish, you cracked me up.
Ask Mike Davis what happened the last time he signed a Nino Sports guy. They disappeared to Italy before the season started. So.
Oh, okay. You can't necessarily blame Nino for that.
I'm just saying, man. Jermaine Blakely gets he'll get all of them because he's also represented by Nino Sports too. So
press the button.
True. Hey, sometimes players don't show up. It doesn't matter the agent. Sometimes it doesn't matter the player. You just never know. You just never know. But on that note, we're gonna hit a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We're gonna talk about the NAL. They have renamed their championship game. I know everybody's extremely excited about that. Life-changing information here. We'll talk about that. We will talk about some hires that were apparently rumors 2 weeks ago, but are no longer rumors anymore. We'll talk about that. We also have an interview that will be coming up, and we'll talk about Gary Thomas because we do it every week, right? So on that note, we will mention his
I don't think you're privy to his free agency process. Like I don't think he's letting you know what's going on.
Nothing. Haven't heard a word.
I heard he's on the move.
What's that?
I heard he's on the move.
Yeah, I heard he was going to San Antonio.
Oh, no, he's currently getting off his couch and grabbing something from the fridge. That's what I meant.
I almost spit out my drink. All right, on that note, we'll hit our commercial break. We'll be right back to talk about the NAL.
We undefeated, that's the story they tell. Every rival tried hard, but they never prevailed. The American Arena League champions at last. 2026 forever. This moment gonna last. Lion pride forever, hear the whole crowd roar. This championship season was what we worked for. Raise them up, celebrate, let the confetti rain. Columbus Lions, champions. Remember the name.
How many times a week? Like three, four times maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers.
Hi, everyone. This is TJ from Shady Sports Network. I am excited and proud to be the first one to announce that we as a network are introducing a digital magazine, official one called Shady Sports Magazine. As many of you know, the bread and butter of our network is covering arena and indoor football, and that's exactly what this magazine is going to be about. It is going to be the first ever arena and indoor football central magazine, all the leagues included. You're going to also have a bunch of articles in there about past teams going down memory lane. It's just going to be a one-stop shop for the already diehard fan. It's going to be an easy spot to get all of your info, no matter which league or however many of the leagues you may watch. And for the new fan or the casual fan, it may help you turn into a diehard fan now because you're going to be able to get all the info super quick and easy, sent directly into your email. We will announce in the upcoming weeks when the inaugural issue is going to be released. And believe me, we will definitely keep you updated on our shows and network as a whole on how to sign up for that list to get it. Email for free every month. Thank you to the fans. And thank you for everyone watching. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and most important, enjoy the show and keep watching. Thank you, and see you guys later.
All right, we are back, and yes, Gary Thomas, the New Mexico head coach, also the head coach of every open team in every league. But we are going to discuss the announcement of the National Arena League changing the team or the name of their big game, the championship game. So it is now called the National Bowl, if I am correct there. So obviously this came with the reveal of a trophy, it looks like. So what are your guys' thoughts on this announcement by the league? And was this what you were expecting when they teased an announcement the day before? Let's go to Cody first.
It's just a weird name. It's like National Bowl just doesn't necessarily like roll off the tongue as much as, you can't call it the Arena Bowl. We understand that, but I don't know. And they just released a statement, if you ever go to their socials right now, saying like the reason why they're doing it is to put Roman numerals behind it, so National Bowl 1, National Bowl 2, stuff like that, so people can be further etched into the connection of the National Arena League, which I like. So like the opinion can change a little bit on that, but overall it's not necessarily the thought or like the idea that I had when they were teasing that. I thought it was gonna be like a different trophy. The trophy's cool looking. It definitely stands out compared to other teams and other leagues. But I thought it was going to be a little bit different. I thought it was going to be maybe like a different title sponsor or something along those lines. So I am a little underwhelmed, but at the same time with what they're going with the National Bowl, the name is weird, but I understand the reasoning why they're doing it.
Fair point. National Arena League, National Bowl. I can definitely see that. I do kind of like the rendering of the champion or the trophy. We'll see how things go there. But TJ, what are your thoughts on the renaming of the championship game?
Well, I was kind of having my fingers crossed it was going to be a halftime show for the game. That would have been cool, But I get the branding of the name. Cody brought up a good point about them wanting to, get you closer to it, get the players more etched into it, being able to add numbers to it, more like Super Bowl stuff like that. But obviously, National Bowl, I like it. National Arena League, National Bowl. I don't know if they could have called it Indoor Bowl, but then again, that may have been confusing since they never rebranded switching to indoor. But I really do like the name. The trophy's cool already, so I'm glad they didn't really change that. I like what they're doing. They're making everything more official. They're amping everything up. They're pretty much just building off of the fire that they had going off of this past season. And, let's see how it turns out for this season. It's branded now, and hopefully they can get some more sponsors as well for it.
Brian, I don't know if you're being serious here or if you're joking, but I actually have heard that there are some national sponsors taking some interest in the NAL. So hopefully that pans out for them and they do bring in some national sponsors, because obviously that's always good for the league, good for the teams. It makes it cheaper to operate for some of these ownership groups and stuff like that. So makes these leagues more sustainable. That's a good move for everybody involved. But Krish, what are your thoughts about the National Bowl?
I mean, I kind of agree with Cody, to be honest. It doesn't really move a needle for me. It's kind of like, okay, but I respect what they're trying to do. I think they're kind of, taking some stuff out the playbook from the IFL with the United Bowl. But, I mean, I don't think you really need to – I don't think they needed to do this big-time announcement for it. I think they could have just, announced it. The teasing and stuff, it makes it seem like a lot bigger than it really is, and then it's kind of like a letdown. So, but it's okay.
Fair, to be honest. I mean, honestly, like when I heard about an announcement, my immediate thought was, are they adding another team? Is it did they hire somebody in the front office of the league? Stuff like that. It wasn't necessarily, was I thinking the championship game was getting renamed right away. When I started digging into it a little bit, it became apparent that it was something to do with the championship game. I didn't know what, but here it is. So, I mean, overall, I think it makes sense. The change makes sense for the league. So I don't hate it by any stretch. But at the same time, I think they did build it up a little bit for just a name change. But understand, you got to keep the news rolling in the off season. You want to keep fans interested. You want to give them reasons to be talking about your league like we are right now. So, I mean, on that front, mission accomplished, NAL. So,
why is the league not posting new coaching hires? Like, why is that not a thing? You know what I mean? Like, when Negron gets named in Colorado, that should be on the league's social media. When Pat Pimble gets Omaha today, that should be, on the league social media too. Like,
I have zero argument for that. I think you're 100% correct on that. I think that, even if it's just the NAL page sharing the team post, I think that's important too, because then you kind of push some viewers to those team pages as well. And then you also give a little bit bigger platform for that hire. So I think that's a very relevant and fair argument to make. But as far as that goes, let's kind of transition over to your point. I mean, Brandon Necrone is now official in Colorado. Krish, what are your thoughts on that overall hiring? And then why do you think it took so long for the announcement?
Yeah, I was trying to decide if I wanted to get all emotional about this, but obviously I broke the news, weeks in advance, and I was told, by you, it's false, but it's fine. I knew I was right. I always, stay true to my guns. And at the end of the day, like, sometimes organizations want to wait till information is released, but and I understand why, but it's my job to try to give the fans the information as soon as possible. If it's accurate, and I know some people were questioning my accuracy in one of our chats this week in Arena Ball, was saying like, oh, I'd rather my sources be accurate. Well, it's too bad you don't have any sources, and I do. So that's how I am able to get information for certain things.
Let's pump the brakes on all that.
But
we don't need to call each other out publicly. That's a little ridiculous.
But but at the end of the day, like, I'm really happy for Coach, right? Like, I really think this is a great opportunity for him. He needs to make the most of this, though, because if he doesn't, I don't think he'll get another opportunity again to be a head coach. I mean, Colorado, they spend more money than Omaha does on players. And now he's in a perfect situation. He can sell, right, from business side. Their attendance has been horrible in Denver. I mean, I think you know that. You've been to games. So, I mean, look at Pueblo, what they've done in year one. And Tony's still trying to figure out how to get it done. So Coach can, fill up the arena and make the playoff year one. Yeah. Or win a playoff game, let's say.
Well, I think there's a lot to unpack with what you just said. First of all, I did not say your information was false. What I said is I am going to go with my source over yours, and I think you understand why I did that. Fair? Okay. I just want to make it clear. I was not trying. I even said at one point, it may end up still being true, just so we're all clear here. But anyway, I think it's the right hire. I've thought it was the right hire for a long time. I mean, if you're going to move on from Fred Shaw, who I think did a lot of good things here in Colorado, had a very talented team underneath him, but at the same time did not get it done in the playoffs ultimately. So when that happened, I think we all knew there was going to be a move of some sort. It's year 3. You want to go into it strong, especially like Krish said, Pueblo's hit it out of the park down there, but it's also a very different market. Let's not get our stuff twisted here. Pueblo does not have a lot going on. It's not a small city by any stretch. It's actually a pretty large city. I want to say it's 100,000 plus down there, but at the same time, they don't have any other professional teams. They don't. Sorry, let me walk that back a little bit. They have one professional hockey team. Other than that, there really isn't a ton going on down there. So when the Punishers came and did it the right way, got in the schools, got in the community, was at the state fair. They're at the state fair again this year. They hit the ground running. They immediately had support. They had support from the community, but in Denver, it's different. You go to Denver, you have a million things going on. You have, just in the city of Denver, you've got like 5 different professional teams in general, whether it's hockey, baseball, soccer, all of these sports. So
I wanted to actually respond to this too. I agree with Coach here. I think it was a misstep on his part. I understand why he retired at first, but as an indoor coach, like you should be retiring, before you 100% know you're stepping out, because it's not a great look to retire and then come back immediately. I mean, not even 2 weeks later. So, you should just kind of wait. I would have waited, but that's my opinion.
What is this? What is this referring to? Who's giving him the trophy already? Seems crazy. Yeah. The mammoth, by the way, for the record. Just want to throw that out there. But thoughts, TJ, on the hiring of Negron for Colorado?
Oh yeah, I like it. He's a good coach. He's also good on the business side, bringing in sponsorships, things like that. Little temporary, more of a temporary hiatus than a retirement. But I mean, you look at the last, year and change of his professional life. I mean, it was a whirlwind. It was an absolute whirlwind. So maybe him doing that was his way of being able to mentally break from it all, or also at the same time may have been a little bit of a marketing ploy, like, hey, I'm retired now, you can't have me. Maybe he was hoping to drum up interest. Who knows? Either way, I think Colorado's going to be in good hands. They're going to have someone on the business side and also someone who can coach. So they're going to be bringing in money, and they should, be winning some football games. So I like it.
Agreed. Cody, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to retire till next week and still probably have a longer retirement than Coach Negron. I mean, it's a good hire. We always talk about, to an extent, like some of these jobs that are open, head coaching spots, coordinator spots, stuff like that. And you do want to get some youth into these positions to have them learn the game and take their lumps and stuff like that. But you also need some of these veteran coaches, people that have been around for a while, and it depends on the team and the scheme and how you want to go about it. And Negron is a proven coach. He's won championships. He's gotten to the playoffs. He's won a ton of games. So if that's the route that Colorado wants to take, more power to them. It remains to be seen if they can get it all together. That's fine. Just because you spend the most money does not mean a championship will be handed to you. But at the same time, we'll see how it kind of goes. I like the hire. It does give some notoriety to Colorado and to the NAL as a whole. Obviously, he was there with Omaha for a little while. But at the same time, you're looking at this as okay, we've got another experienced coach in this league to go along with a couple of the others. And it kind of bodes well for the NAL as a whole and for Colorado.
I like your point there in terms of, trying to add some young blood, but at the same time, understanding that there is value to the veteran coaches. Once again, this comment is not even accurate because he was hired by the Beef mid-season in 2025. And he led them to a championship game. I think all of us forget that because of how poorly 2026 went, but he did win with Omaha just a year prior.
He does have a point, though, because when he means 2 years, right, like if you think about it, the season starts in March, so it's almost been 2 years. But I see what he's trying to get at. You know what I mean? And look, I'm the number one Coach Negron supporter on this panel, but by far. But I'm also a realist about it, right? This was a business hire. My opinion is he needs to take this offseason and just put his head down and work. Let all the noise and everything kind of, come when the season starts, right? Because we see coaches all the time say, oh, we're going to do this, do that, and then it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So just go
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go ahead and move on from the subject, but I think that, I think both points can be valid, right? I think that he can be a good coach. He can have some success. He could be a good hire for Colorado, but he could also not necessarily, be in a situation where if this goes poorly, that he is a head coach again. I mean, at that point, you have to look back at the last 3 stops he's had and be like, okay, well, you can say that Carolina wasn't his fault because the team fell apart, obviously. You can say Omaha was his fault because he had realistically all the resources to succeed. So if he goes to Colorado and does not find success in 2027, then we can absolutely start having the conversation that he's a bad coach. But to say that a year after having a team in the championship game is crazy to me personally, especially because it was the same year that you were last in the championship game. And yes, you had a much better season than Omaha did, but it's just kind of crazy to sit here and say, like, well, he hasn't won for 2 years when he was in the championship game. So, like, he won up until the final game of the season and then didn't win that one game. So, like, we're really going to give him crap about that. That's a little crazy to me. But we'll see. Oh, man. So anyway, we are going to bring on our guest for this morning. We have a National Arena League champion joining us this morning, Mr. Timothy Shannon, defensive back for the Southwest Kansas Storm. Mr. Shannon, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on the championship victory.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how your season went, and for anybody who isn't aware of you, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
First of all, thank you for having me. And secondly, the season was pretty smooth. I came from northern Michigan. I see this Ferris State is mean in your description, Cody. I played Ferris every year for the last 4 or 5 years in college. So my college experience was pretty fun. Played a lot of great competition. Played Trinidad while he was there. And if you know, Ferris always wins. So they won like 3 or 4 times when I was in school. So college was fun. And moving on to the Arena League, it was just a shot. I just took a shot and just continuing to play football. Shout out to you, Coach Thomas, everybody for just giving me a chance and just even believing in me. I didn't play corner in college at all. I played safety. My position got changed, and shout out to my coach for believing in me and just understanding that, like, well, me understanding myself first, and then my coaches understanding the work and the ethic and just the buy-in with the team. I feel like this was like the perfect system for me to fall into coming out of college.
Let me take a moment and ask you a little bit about that. So in college, as you mentioned, you played more safety. You come into the NAL, they ask you to move over to corner. What was your first reaction when coach comes to you and he's like, "Hey, I want you to play outside. We kind of want you man on man with some guys." What was your thought?
My first thought was, I was gonna play wherever he told me to because I wanted to play, and that was really my first mind. Like, okay, he wants you to do it to your best abilities. I played corner in high school, so it wasn't really like that much of a like difference. But I think for me, it was like it helped me settle in a little more because I always felt more comfortable playing corner. Honestly, I just didn't get that same opportunity in college. It kind of was like a full circle moment, honestly. So to get back to playing football again and to play corner again was just like a special feeling. I feel like I played like very, very good at the position.
I would agree. There's a reason I invited you on this morning. Cody, do you have anything for Timothy?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Let's talk a little bit about Southwest Kansas, and we've had a couple of guys on in the recent months to talk. I want to get your perspective of this past season. Obviously, a championship, obviously getting to lift the trophy, but I've asked this to other players before. What was the moment for you where things kind of started to click, where you're like, oh, we can actually kind of do this? Did it start at the very beginning of the season with like high confidence, or 6-7 games in, not to make that pun, sorry, but like that many games in, you're sitting there going like, wow, we're undefeated, we have an opportunity to make a go at this? Like, when did that kind of start creeping into your head, like, we have a shot to win this championship?
For me, I would have to say, like you said, once we were about 6-7-0, and that was my first time, like, in that moment being 6 or 7-0 just in sports in general. So that's when it really kind of hit me like, okay, we have like something very good going here. And then obviously we took the L against Sioux City at the end of the season, but I think that's really when it set in as well. Because that week when we came back before we played Omaha again, we practiced so intensely. Everybody was locked in. We just had so much focus on like what was coming up. I just feel like at that moment I realized how much of a team we were and how like the loss didn't like we didn't let the loss determine like who we were as a team. Obviously we were winning up until that one loss. So we kind of just knew what it meant for the league to watch us lose. So we kind of just had that chip on our shoulder to just continue to be who we were at the first few games. And so I think I would say about week 6, 7, no pun intended. That's when I realized, like, okay, we have a shot.
I love it. Love it. TJ, do you have anything for Timothy? Sorry.
Hey, hi. Thanks for joining the show, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What were some of the biggest adjustments or differences going from the outdoor game to the indoor game that you really had to that took you the longest to get used to?
I would say the biggest adjustment is how compact and fast everything is. I feel like indoor is way faster than outside football because it's so up close and personal. Like you can't really run from anything. Like everything happens so fast. The high motion was like the biggest thing for me because a receiver getting like a 20, 30 yard head start and you just playing DB, you just waiting, like you don't know what they doing. The routes are super long. I would say like the high motion and just how fast it was. Like that took me a minute to adjust.
Coach Davis asked, how was it playing for Coach Thomas, and how did you end up in Southwest Kansas?
I love Coach Thomas. Honestly, I love Coach Thomas. I don't know how I ended up in Southwest Kansas, but I do know my my coach in college was coached by Coach Thomas as well. So I think that kind of got me like coach, I got a guy. He just won another opportunity. And I feel like that's how I got my opportunity. But I love Coach Thomas. And Coach Thomas loves me too. And I think that's why I felt even comfortable coming to Southwest Kansas in the first place. I was able to like speak to him. And speaking to him, it kind of felt like I knew he would like I knew I would be comfortable and feel like home once I got to Southwest Kansas based off talking to Coach Thomas. I love Coach Thomas. He's one of the best coaches I've ever had. And I truly mean that. Just who he is as a person. Coaching is like, I feel like coaching is more about your personality than like actually how you coach a player. Cause like, especially for us, cause we're older, Coach Thomas is like the most genuine person I've met since I've been like in the professional sports like realm.
That's a fair point for sure. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but what are your plans for 2027?
2027 is up in the air. I do know like if I play arena or any indoor football game, I'm playing for one team. Like I'm a one team type of guy. I love the Storm, and I know if I was to play arena again, I would go back to the Storm for sure. So if I'm playing indoor football in 2027, I will be a Southwest Kansas Storm again for sure.
Love that answer. I'm sure the fans are going to be very excited to hear you'll be back. If you're not outdoors, of course. Have you gotten any interest from the UFL or CFL as of yet?
I've been talking to my agent about like with a couple teams, but I think I want to go to a UFL like showcase just to like put my face to a name. I feel like the coaches know of me, but they don't actually know me. So I kind of want to get out to one of those camps just so I can put my face to a name, like show my abilities that way as well. Because I feel like it's tough. It's tough with like the UFL, the CFL, any outdoor leagues to like really get your name out there if they don't really like know you or have seen you like in person. So I think that's the process I need to start getting into in these next couple months, like getting my face out there, like as far as like my name's out there, but I need to get my face like out there as well.
Makes sense. Cody, do you have anything else for Timothy?
Yeah, a couple one, or at least like a two-parter, dare I say. When you're in practice on the one side of the ball, how cool is it to see someone like Evan DiMaggio like lighting things up, and then on the other side, how bad is it to get torched by D-Wash as he just runs past you?
Okay, it is two sides to it. Evan is great. Evan will be great. He was watching Evan was crazy because we always was looking like we like, yeah, that's the defensive player of the year. Like we had the defensive player of the year in our mind watching Evan play like every down. Evan was like he was a cheat code for us. He honestly made it easier for us. And in practice, I think that's why I was as good as I was. Anyway, I went against D-Wash every day. Like any rep he had, I was guarding him. Any rep, one-on-ones, teams, anything, I would go take the challenge because I knew he was the best. And that's the only way you get better is like competing against the best. So I think like I I ain't gonna say he beat me every time. I'm not gonna say I beat him every time, but I can say like those like competing with DY. And I'm super young. Like I'm super young. I'm 22. I was 22 at the time. DY is way older than me. So just learning everything from him, competing against somebody that I know is better than me, like that just made me better. Because when I went to the games on Saturdays, I didn't think about a receiver that we had to go against because I knew who I was going against every day. So
It's a great point. When you go against the best, you're bound to be the best, or pretty damn near the top anyway. TJ, do you have anything else for Timothy?
Yeah, I do have one more question, and I think you'll be the first player to comment on it, actually. What do you think about the new National Bowl title?
yeah, I'm trying to get one of those too. That look. I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by that. I want to go back to back, get us a National Bowl too. Might as well, man. I think like I was explaining to because I coach high school too, and they was asking me kind of about like the National Arena League, and I was telling them like I don't know too much about it, but I felt like last season just watching I watched literally every game. Like I'm a football head. I watch all the games. Just watching all the games, like it was a great year for the league just in general. Like it was a great year. I feel like I seen a lot of fan engagement. So I feel like the National Bowl and just adding a real title to it just takes the league to another level.
Agreed. Man, I'm pretty much out of questions for you this morning, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of take the floor and shout out anybody but you want to shout out or anything like that. But Cody, did you have any more questions left?
Not really a question. I just wanted you to say how much you don't like Grand Valley State or Ferris State.
Hate them.
They're too good in D2. I don't.
Hate them.
I can't.
Hate them.
Is that a North Dakota shirt you're wearing there?
Nah, this a Notre Dame. That's why I coach at high school. I coach at Notre Dame College Prep. We actually got our freshman game here in a couple of minutes. So
definitely. Well, on that note, let's get you out of here. But I want to give you the floor to kind of shout out whoever you want to shout out or anything like that.
Man, just shout out to the Storm, man. I'm Storm all the way. I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you for the opportunity. I love coming and doing things like this just to be able to speak. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I think we can arrange another visit sometime if you'd like. So
I'm down with that.
Awesome. Well, you have best of luck today at your game. Very excited to hear you'll be back with the Storm in 2027 if you're not outdoors. And we'll see what you can do next year.
Thank you.
Definitely. Have a great day, sir.
You as well.
Awesome. So that was Timothy Shannon, defensive back of the Southwest Kansas Storm, rookie in 2026. And it sounds like he will be returning to the Storm if he's not outdoors for 2027. So very excited about that as well. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We have a lot to talk about in the IFL, and I think it sounds like a good time to transition over to that. We've got a couple of things to talk about with the AF1, and then we also have a bit of TAL news to talk about as well, or a little bit of speculation anyway. So we'll come back with that as well. So on another note, let us know in the comments below what you guys think about the latest variations of the Columbus Lions commercials that we've gotten. So you saw the white one earlier, so I'll go ahead and play that one more time, and then we'll play another one that we played last week at the end of the show. So let us know what you guys think of these ones.
We undefeated, that's the story they tell. Every rival tried hard, but they never prevailed. The American Arena League champions at last. 2026 forever, this moment gonna last. Lion pride forever, hear the whole crowd roar. This championship season was what we worked for. Raise them up, celebrate, let the confetti rain. Columbus Lions, champions, remember the name.
Step up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets one. Three-step drop, here comes the pressure, passes complete to Flowers, back to pass, pressure coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10, and Russell has it on the outside. Like I said, he ain't taking a slide. Russell steps up, let's go, Robinson makes the circus catch. Going to be a low snap, here comes the pressure, and the pass is going to be complete, and making the catch of Grant Russell. Russell, back to pass, looking, he has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play by Isaiah Hall.
How many times a week? Like three, four times maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
That's right. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and of course, share this with all the indoor football fans in your life. We have probably one of the most viewed indoor football shows in the realm. We're very excited about that, but there's always room for growth for the sport, for this show. So share this with somebody who is a fan. Share this with somebody who isn't a fan. If they want to learn more about these leagues, why they should follow, who they should follow, I feel like this is a pretty good place to find out a lot more about all of these leagues, figure out which one fits for you, and then kind of find your way into the sports world and become one of us degenerates that join us every Saturday morning to talk indoor football. So like I said, we've got a lot to talk about the IFL. We've got players that have went up to the CFL very recently. One I'm sure Krish is very excited about. We also have a couple players who have played in NFL games as of late after being signed to IFL rosters in the past couple years. We also have a couple coaching extensions to talk about. So let's go ahead and just unpack. Let's start with Dixie back in Fishers. So a couple weeks ago, we spoke on some rumors that had kind of been kicking around out there. I don't want to say they were real concrete. It was just something that had been speculated on a little bit and kind of caught some traction. But that Dixie Wooten would not return to the Fishers Freight. At the time, I approached this very much like I approach many other coaching situations. Who better are you going to get? And quickly became apparent that there probably wasn't going to be very many candidates that were going to be available that were better than Dixie. And ultimately they decided to, sign him to an extension and allow him to return for the future. So Krish, I want to go to you first specifically on this one. What are your thoughts on what Dixie brought to the table and what ultimately made it make sense for him to return in 2027?
Dixie Wooten is a championship winning coach in this league. And you can't say that about a lot of coaches, right? I think I was looking at out of 18 head coaches in the league, only 5, I believe, have won championships in the IFL, right? And so to be able to have a championship winning coach is a big deal. If they would have let him go, they would have been dumb. So the fact that there was even any discussion about him being let go is crazy to me. But again, they do spend money in Indy. And the thing is that when you spend that type of money, it comes with expectation. So, he's 15-17. He does enter next season under a lot of pressure to win and perform. They have to make the playoffs next year, in my opinion. But, I heard that he's, making some adjustments on the coaching staff and he's going to put some new pieces in place. And I'm just excited to see how he builds up the program. I mean, Dixie will never beat the Pirates, right? He's 0-6 against us all time. So I can't wait to make that 0-8 next year. So
I did want to point out one fact before I let Cody or TJ comment on this. I went back and kind of looked at Fisher's season just as a whole, as a big picture. And I noticed something that was kind of alarming. 5 of their 7 losses came by 5 points or less. So we're talking about a coach that he had a winning season, right? Or very close to, I think 9-7, right? With that in mind, 5 of those losses came by 5 points or less, and we're talking about potentially firing this guy. So that is kind of crazy in my mind. But let's go over to Cody on this one. What are your thoughts on Dixie back in Fishers?
Yeah, I'd kind of echo that. Who are you going to get that's better in that sense? He's a proven commodity, whether it is just as a coordinator as he's been at Bay Area or as a co-head coach or now current head coach and as he's been head coach prior. It's nice to have retention when it comes to that. It's familiarity, but at the same time, in the last 2 seasons, he has had some losing streaks. And yeah, to that credit, if you can get away from those, not to say that you're going to go 16-0 or anything like that, but to get into the playoffs, it's going to require you to not have these long, sustained losing streaks, whether it was in their inaugural year or just last year. You've got to be able to string together 3-4 wins at a time while only taking a loss or 2 at the time after that. If you can sustain, 6, 8, 9, 10 wins in a row, then great, you're already partway there. But let's not sit there, and I'm not trying to deflect, but Jacksonville at one point was 9-1, and they ended up faltering a little bit. There's some teams that get off to these really hot starts and then kind of fall back to the wayside. It was a little too late for Fishers, but when you really put it in the grand scheme of things, they were there in the final game of the season. All they had to do was win. They couldn't do it. So they were right there to make the playoffs. All they had to do was win their final game of the season. They couldn't get it done. So when you look at it from that, didn't make the playoffs year one. They were right there in year two. If the trajectory, increases, they should be a playoff team in 2027, barring if they don't change the playoff format.
So I also want to add one thing too. I've seen Dixie do a lot of complaining on social media. Our schedule is like this, our team that. I never noticed that earlier in his career. And so my thing is, man, he has to, and I think these new additions to the coaching staff is going to help him kind of shift his focus to, making the playoffs and achieving what they want to achieve. But I put in my hot take. I mean, they'll make the playoffs next year. I'm telling you this right now. Indy will make the playoffs in 2027.
I tend to agree. My thing about Indy is like, does Dixie really have the guy he wants at quarterback currently? Because I know he's stuck with Felix at this point, but I don't know that that's necessarily the model of quarterback that he typically wants.
Wasn't Felix Harper the backup to DeQuan Neal in Bay Area? And then he brought them over to Fishers. So I wouldn't say that he's not stuck with them. I'm sure they've got some rapport. And
I don't mean it like that by any stretch, but I don't think, like, if Dixie could go out and pick his guy, he's probably picking a player a little bit closer to DeQuan Neal is kind of what I'm going for here. I at one point speculated that he probably would have brought DeQuan over if he could have. And maybe that conversation was had. I don't know. But I just wonder if that's maybe the best fit. Not saying it's a bad thing. I think Felix Harper's a great quarterback. I think he's done some great things there in Fishers. But he also was a backup for multiple years for a reason too. So I'm just kind of wondering if there isn't something there that we're not privy to as, not the coaching staff that is coaching him. So
not to cut you off. Sorry about that, but didn't they already go through a little bit of a coordinator carousel from last season to this season? Because I don't think his son was part of the staff, and they already, I think in their inaugural year, they went from, I can't remember who it was that was part of the staff. Was it Matt Elam? And then they went to Keontae Northington, if that was his name. So it's like they've already gone through like this coordinator carousel in these last couple of seasons. So if they can get some consistency within that coaching staff, things should be all right.
And like I said, they got a big announcement edition coming here soon, which when that comes out, will come out. But my thing is with Matt Elam, he was supposed to be the DB's coach down there, and he decided to play for us for another season instead. Again, a lot of people want to talk about how we had so many coaches. Indy had 9 coaches on staff last year. 9. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think Dixie needs to do what we need to do and kind of consolidate that coaching staff and kind of get the right people in there and not too many. When you have too many chefs in the kitchen, it can get kind of crazy. And I've been saying that since the start. So,
TJ, you've been quietly absorbing this whole conversation. What are your thoughts on Dixie Wooten returning to Fishers?
It's like everyone else said to echo, his resume, it speaks for itself. I think the main focus is really next year. You've seen improvement. Now, next year, the next step is, in my opinion, not just to get to the playoffs, but also win a playoff game. If I feel like if Fishers doesn't get into the playoffs and win or take it down to the absolute wire, that might not even be enough. They may need to win a playoff game or else we're going to be having the same conversation at the end of next season. Is Dixie going to stay or not? I think he needs to win it in the playoffs to remain with Fishers after next season.
Did anyone say anything about the length of this contract he signed? I did not see anything, but I may have overlooked it.
Normally, and Coach can kind of clarify this for us, but normally when they don't say anything, it tends to be a 1-year deal. But that's what I've seen in my experience. I don't know.
TJ, looks like you're holding up 3.
Is the max for a coach still 3? Or 4?
I didn't know there was a max, to be honest.
Okay.
But I could be wrong on that. I honestly don't know. Okay. Cody, do you know?
No. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know if there's limitations within the handbook or the rules or whatever, but like, I guess you could go lifetime, but at the same time, I've normally seen anywhere from 1 to 3.
Fair point.
If the teams are around that long.
Wow.
Where's that button? Gonna have to get one for Cody soon. All right, so let's shift over to some other extensions that were also announced this week. So San Diego has announced that 2 coaches at a very minimum have been extended. Taylor Ginuser and Adam Shackelford, their defensive coordinator as well. So obviously San Diego made a pretty solid run this year. They were all the way up into the Western Conference final. What are your guys' thoughts on these 2 coaches being extended for San Diego? Let's go to Cody first on this one.
Say it with me, Sam. It's Geneser.
There you
go. No, it's again the same thing with JC Wooden. If you let Geneser walk, who are you getting? You know, they took a gamble on him a couple years ago, making him the intern, and it has worked out in spades. The amount of times that I myself have personally kind of doubted San Diego, and they've made 3 straight Western Conference championships. Excuse me. Now, unfortunately, the bridesmaid, never the bride, but they have proven themselves as one of the best talents in the Western Conference. They are right there with Vegas. They're right there with Arizona. Things just don't break their way when it seems. But if you let Geneser or even Adam Shackelford walk, like, San Diego's going to fall. They're not going to be that caliber of a team. It doesn't matter how far Nate Davis is on the team or how far they take you. That coaching staff is what makes that team go. And having Shackelford back, knowing that he probably wouldn't be anywhere else. Talked to him in Tucson at the national championship game. He's like, yeah, it's pretty much San Diego or bust. I really wouldn't want to go anywhere else. So having him back for another year or 2, I can't remember how long his contract is, but I know Geneser is for another 2 years. So I think he's extended through 2028. So that's a huge get for San Diego. And honestly, the slow build that they have had, where you've wondered, you can probably count on 2 hands the amount of fans that they had starting out. They've started to build something out there. And if they can continue to do that, where there's only one professional sports team in the Padres, and not to discredit anyone else, but like, you can build something there if you keep winning the way that they have.
Cody, are you showing your IFL bias and not acknowledging the Oceanside Stealth that play in the exact same building?
I was actually thinking of like the San Diego Sockers and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Or like the San Diego Clippers. But yeah, the Ocean. Well, are we talking the Bombers or the Stealth?
Stealth, for sure.
Oh, okay. I can't remember.
That's fair. It's been a very short-lived name, or a short-lived time under the Stealth.
Talk about short retirements, right?
Well, hopefully the Stealth is permanent. Hopefully, as far as I know, that they're permanent, but haven't really heard a bunch out of the AF1. But that's the subject for next segment. TJ, what are your thoughts on Geneser, and Shackelford being back in San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. A thought to have after it is it kind of makes sense where Cody said it's a 2-year deal, because you kind of have that uncertainty if Nate Davis is going to come back or not. So that 2-year deal, in my opinion, kind of buffers whether it's right off the bat a new quarterback going into next season, or if Nate does come back for one season and then you have a new quarterback come in. Because I mean, I don't see a reason why you would have let him go to begin with, but they made it to the conference finals. But even if you were thinking about it, got so close again, let's start fresh, something like that, then you're kind of having that whole rebuild kind of mentality where you have a new head coach and possibly a new quarterback. It's kind of like you're in the weeds again. But solidifying, the head coach, especially the coach of the year for a multi-year deal, even though you've just fell short. But yeah, you would definitely have a fall off from where you've been the last year or two specifically if you didn't, continue to have him as your head coach. Defense, I mean, their defense has been one of the better defenses in the league. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. I see them to not only make the Western Finals next year, but possibly even break that barrier and get into the chip next season.
All right, now that everybody's given their opinion, no, I'm just kidding. Krish, what are your thoughts?
So for me, I want to throw out a stat here, and I want you guys to kind of absorb this because it's important, right? So Kevin Guy took him 7 seasons to win his first championship. Mike Davis, it took him 8 seasons to win his first championship, right? So all great things take time to build. When you're building a program, it doesn't happen overnight, right? Especially in the state of the IFL and where it is now compared to where it was. So first of all, Coach Shaq, mastermind. I mean, he can build a football team when he's given the resources to do so. He did it in Spokane for many years. Really, really good guy to have on staff. And he did it in Nashville too. He built a really competitive team there. The one year he was down with Dean Kokinos in Nashville there in the AFL. So I think, they made some great re-signings. They re-signed a young running back, Tyrell Green, who was one of the top young running backs headed into free agency. To get him back, they got Herman Smith, Kyle Kelly. They're retaining the young core of guys that they have, and you love to see it. They will have to let some guys go because they have too many vets on the team going into this coming year. So they might need to let a receiver or two go. But the biggest thing is now you got I would argue, and this is no disrespect to Taylor, but Shaq is more important to that team and that organization than Coach Taylor is. And that's just the reality of it. Right now they got to go and sign Nate Davis because that has to be the number one priority for them. If they don't get Nate Davis back, then I don't know what's going to happen to that team.
Well, Krish, yeah, I know you wanted to talk about this, so I was finishing with you on the coaching stuff so we could wrap back around with the Nate Davis stuff. So do you think Nate returns for 2027?
So I've heard rumors that Nate and Ernesto Lacayo are really close, right? Apparently they're best friends. They've been best friends since Duke City. Ernesto announced he's coming back in 2027. Now, does that mean Nate's coming back? I don't know. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to stick by it all offseason. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Nate Davis will return to San Diego in 2027. So that's my opinion. That's what I think. There's only 2 places you can go, New Mexico or San Diego. That's it. Or retirement, which I don't think he's ready to retire just yet. So,
Mr. JT Bartholomew the third. What are your thoughts on Nate Davis? Do you think he returns?
You forgot the .n peg.
Sorry.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think he's going to come back for one more year, especially with how close they got this past season. He didn't necessarily have the best Western Conference Finals game, so I think he's going to come back for one more swan song and try to end it on the podium as a champion.
What do you think about this comment here by Mike Davis? What if they don't re-sign Nate?
He's going to look weird in Vegas Nighthawks colors.
They have ample time to get somebody else. I mean, hey, but ideally, you want your vet to come back. So,
but okay, I'm going to ask you this though, and this is a realistic question. If they don't re-sign Nate, who do they sign? Like, what's the offense? What's the system? You see what I'm saying? Like, what are they trying to do?
That's a question that they'll have to ask regardless. I mean, if they re-sign him, fine, but how many years does he have left? You're going to have to figure out the system. Like, it's kind of the same thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with Aaron Rodgers, or like other teams have dealt with like very veteran-laden quarterbacks that have been there for a long time. Like, eventually they get old, and you have to find a new quarterback, a new system, and how they want to go about it. Whether or not Kyle Kelly is the answer, whether or not they bring in a different quarterback, whoever it could be. I'm not sure. But at the same time, that question still needs to be raised regardless of if Davis returns or not.
If Nate Davis doesn't come back, I'll tell you what I would do. I would go get James Cahoon. That's who I would get.
I mean, it's a natural fit when you consider more of a pocket passing presence from what they've got. So, I mean, that's a good idea. But, again, it remains to be seen going from coast to coast. Does he want that? How much are they going to pay? What are they going to do? I don't know. And then, again, is that what Jennifer wants to do? Or is he just holding out, Sam and I interviewed him. They communicate very effectively. So if Davis doesn't come back, is there a new offensive scheme that Jennifer wants to run? Is there a different way that they want to go about it? Do they want to be more dual threat and two-dimensional, or do they want to rely more on that air raid passing style compared to running the ball?
I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Cody. I think if we go back and we look before Nate Davis joined the San Diego Strike Force and you look at the players that San Diego had employed at quarterback, they were more dual threat guys. I mean, look back at the trade that happened to bring Davis to San Diego. Wasn't it Aaron Aiken and Demery Croft?
Yeah, and that, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily put Aaron Aiken as a dual threat, but at the same time, I guess more dual threat back then than he is right now.
Yeah, true.
But yeah,
I
at the
see your
same time, they sent both those guys to Duke City for Nate Davis. So, I mean, at that time, you knew what Davis was capable of doing.
True.
But I don't know. Like I said, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. If this year, next year, 2 years down the road, whenever it could be, Nate Davis won't be the quarterback. You hate to admit that, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, send him out with the swan song, or he goes out on his own terms, however you want to go about it.
I mean, I know Nate probably had a big influence to get Kyle Kelly on the team, right? Kyle obviously played at Ball State, legend alongside Nate Davis. Okay, let me rephrase that. I don't think he was the legend at Ball State. I think he was a consistent player. Nate Davis was the legend at Ball State. So Nate definitely pushed for San Diego to sign Kyle. And, I mean, maybe they look at him as the future. I just don't think he's the future. I don't. But that's fine.
That's where we disagree. I think that's why Kyle's there. I think you bring that guy up. He's obviously willing to play other positions. We've already seen that. So he's the perfect depth piece behind Nate Davis. You give him a season or two to kind of get his feet underneath him, learn indoor football, and then you have a very smooth transition to Kelly when Nate Davis is ready to retire. That is the one thing. Like, I don't think this decision in my mind is even a decision for San Diego. I think in their eyes, it's Nate Davis or it's Kelly. And it's Nate Davis's decision to let them know who it's going to be. And the reason I say that is because, like Cody said, we interviewed Coach TG. I'm not going to try and mispronounce his last name again. But the way he spoke about Nate Davis, it was like almost I don't want to say like reverence because that sounds like almost too much, but like he respects Nate wholeheartedly, 100%. That's the feeling I came away with. So I think that there's probably a situation right now where it's like, hey, take all the time you need, make sure you're 100% on your decision. And if it's time for you to hang it up, it's time. That's fine. If it's not, and you want to come back for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, as long as I'm here in San Diego, you're the guy. And until you tell me otherwise. So I think right now, realistically, San Diego has best case scenario where you've got a younger guy you can bring up underneath Nate Davis for however long he's there. You've got a guy who's going to know your offense, know a lot of the players that are on the team, know all the coaching staff. And then you can have, like I said, a very smooth transition when Davis eventually retires. TJ, what are your thoughts?
I already gave my thoughts.
But if he doesn't resign?
Oh, if he doesn't resign, man. If he doesn't resign, there's a huge pool out there. You know, they just signed their backup. I just saw Coach Davis say they signed Kelly first. I ultimately you really have to just wait it out and hope that Nate Davis comes back. That's you're preferably probably hoping for the swan song. But if he doesn't come back, I mean, you have the whole pool to check out. You know, one thing that I'm wondering, what do you guys think of this is with the increased attention and popularity, specifically with the IFL this year, with Yahoo and everything else, is it easier for teams in the IFL to get guys to come in and play as opposed to previous seasons? Because some guys, I mean, the pool might be wide open or opened more now because of the notoriety. I mean, let's be honest, going back 2017, 2018, do you want to come play in our league? Oh, do I want to play on YouTube? No. Now you have Yahoo Sports, all the popularity is rising. It's a good bargaining chip.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That definitely.
And I think you look at San Diego's ability. Look at it, Adam Anderson. Adam Anderson should be in the NFL. Like, really, let's be honest with that. There's reasons why he's not, but he's playing the IFL. And so for a player that high level, for San Diego to be able to go out and get, it shows that they can go out and get high level guys. Another guy I would look for, and it's actually someone I hope we look for in Orlando, which we'll probably get to in a minute. Maverick McClover. He played at Western Kentucky and Abilene Christian. Went through the CFL workout process. So it's someone I would hope San Diego would take a look at as well. Pocket passer.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens there in San Diego regardless. We kind of know the direction the franchise is going now. Now we just, the big question is obviously Nate Davis. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Maybe I'll even make a little video for that as well. But we're going to transition over to talk about the branding for the Athens team. And I'm actually going to pull this one up here for us to look at because I personally freaking love this logo. Love it. But I wanted to ask all of your guys' thoughts because obviously this is a panel show and it's not all about my opinion. So Cody, what are your thoughts on this logo?
The logo and the branding are amazing. Having the little subtleties of the state of Georgia in the middle of that, and then with just the A and the claw by themselves. If you look closely at that bottom left of the A, there's musical notes to kind of pay homage to the music scene that is in Athens, Georgia. The thing that I just don't like is the name. I'm just not a fan of it. Athens Crush to me is just a recycled name from the Colorado Crush from the AFL and then the former Colorado Ice / Crush of the IFL. I'm just not a huge fan. To me, it doesn't roll off the tongue. For other people, it could, but that's my own personal opinion. I love the branding. I love the colors. They said they'll never be orange, which is fine, because Orange Crush is the homage to REM, who's from Athens. But again, the dinosaur branding, I'm not sure what that necessarily has to do. If there's like a huge T-Rex sculpture that they found, or a not sculpture, fossil that they found in Athens, I'm not sure. But I do like the branding. I do, whether it's, crushing you as a T-Rex, I don't know. But yeah, I really, really like it. The name to me, I don't know. It can grow on me. I'm just not a fan.
Let's go to TJ next. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, Crush, the connections there, but it's also a recycled name. So not the biggest fan of the name, but I do love the logo though. Cody pointed out the musical notes. So somebody else in our chat, yesterday or the other day when the logo first popped up, noticed, the state shaped out in the space in the A, so they hit, sentimental things. They hit, can you see it, kind of like, tongue in cheek things with the logo to really draw to their local heritage, which is awesome. Me personally, growing up in the late 90s and 2000s as an Orlando Predators fan, though, I love that claw. I don't know necessarily why they incorporated it, but I love it. It reminds me of the old Orlando Predators, like 90s logo wrapping around, that. So for me, it's cool. It's nostalgic, but they also hit the head on, connecting with the local fan base. So overall, I'd give it a solid B+, A- compared to some of the logos we've seen come out in the last, season or so.
Absolutely. This is an interesting point. Should have been the Rock Lobsters. I think that name might be trademarked.
It's already a hockey team down there.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, let's have a football team with the same name, but I could be wrong. Here's Superfan Sports.
Hold on. A hockey team and a football team with the same name? Tulsa, what are you doing?
I will say, every time I try to look up information on the Tulsa Oilers, I have to remember to go back and put in Tulsa Oilers football team, because every single time the hockey team comes up first. But I personally absolutely love the branding. They will be an amazing addition to the IFL as a whole. I agree. I think these are the exact type of ownership groups and stuff that the IFL wants. So, Krish, what are your thoughts on the logo?
I'm indifferent to it. It's decent for me. Decent, but I think Athens is a great market, and I think they will have some amazing attendance and support. If you see how many people were at the press conference, that should just be a preview for how good the fan base will be down there. So I'm happy for the league that they were able to get this team in.
No, that's a fair
Now,
point.
I wonder, so I heard a rumor, I'll just talk about it on the show, that Les Moss is headed to Athens to be the offensive coordinator down there. So I'm interested to see how that will go.
Very hopeful for the team. I'm best friends with one of the owners now, so.
Best friends, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, me and Jerome Bettis like shook hands and talked for like 30 seconds. We're like brothers now, so.
Well, now we know. Best friend. Best friend is the bus. I like this. At least it's not an AI logo. Yeah, I mean, I do like that. Either that or it's a really well prompted AI logo. Tulsa did it. Yes, you're right. Tulsa did it. Can't wait for Savannah's reveal. Absolutely agree. Like I said, I'm personally a huge fan of the branding. I love the logo. I think the amount of detail and thought they put into it is amazing. I can't wait to see their jerseys. I really hope they do some of the similar things, like on the jersey, maybe like incorporate the music notes somewhere other than like just the logo and stuff like that. That would be awesome to see. So can't wait to ultimately see how they attack that, coming up in the near future, I imagine. But, with that in mind, let's transition over. There's a bunch more to talk about on the IFL in particular. Like the fact that Krish's guy, Paxton DeLaurent, he was the rookie of the year, correct?
Offensive rookie of the year.
Offensive rookie of the year. Sorry. So offensive rookie of the year, Paxton DeLaurent has signed with the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL. But Krish, I'll let you kind of take this one.
Yeah, I made a tweet about it. First of all, I want to give all credit and, respect to Coach D, Mike Davis down in Vegas for making this happen, putting in a good word to Toronto organization. For me, it's all about, it's a brotherhood, right? So to help guys get up is a big deal. So to see my quarterback get an opportunity to go up to Toronto, he's in a great situation. If you look at all the other quarterbacks in the room, Chad Kelly, Nick Arbuckle, and Tucker Horn, all their contracts expire after this year. So if he comes in and he does what he's supposed to, I mean, he might be on the team next year, really. And so this could be, I think he'll go up there. He's a great leader. I've heard nothing but great things about him since camp. And when I saw him at the game I went to, just his leadership in the locker room, his leadership to be able to lead a group of men at such a young age is really impressive. He's a great guy. He'll do great things. Another guy, really emotional to see this morning, Israel Antoine. He played for us in 2024. He got an opportunity to sign with the Denver Broncos. And that's what it's all about, man. I mean, you see these kids come in and they come and they're so new to it. And then they just grow. And if you get better and better each week and you do things the right way, your chance of going up is high. And that's the biggest thing. So I'm just happy for both those guys to get opportunities. And that's 79, I think, guys from the Pirates to have opportunities to move up. So, I want to see us in Vegas. Those two, we're like the top two. I don't know who's one or two, but all I know is that I don't remember the last time Tulsa or Quad City or your favorite team moved up a guy. So that's what I think.
Me?
No, I'm just saying, no. Your favorite team, yeah.
Like whoever's watching? Okay, I'm like,
yeah.
What? All right, I could tell you. yeah, anyway, I do want to point out, when you say that 79 number, hopefully you're not counting Israel twice because he was in the UFL. Do not want to take away from the fact that he was on the Pirates in the 2024 season. So definitely the Pirates do deserve to kind of play a part in his rise back. What I think is cool about his scenario in particular is, and speaking on Israel Antoine, is the fact that he has not been in the NFL for 4 seasons. And that's rare. Rarely do you get a player that is like, he was on our NFL roster in 2022, and then he has not been back since. That's a long stretch. At that point, you're typically off NFL radars. For him to get another opportunity is extremely rare, and it's cool to see. So very, very excited for, ultimately Paxton and Israel, who actually played 20 snaps in the game for Denver last night, which I thought was a big deal. Cody, I'm going to let you read this one out loud, buddy.
My mama always said that the Pirates got all them players moving up, but just one banner in an airport.
I'm not even going to reply to that. That was a pretty, low level move by you. I mean, you are completely losing the point of how amazing this is. That guys get an opportunity to come here. I mean, these guys they're not making much. Guys making $250. And then having the opportunity to make 5,000 plus in the CFL is amazing. So.
No, man,
I think you misspoke.
It's just a joke, but yeah, to that credit, I mean, any chance and opportunity that you get, regardless if it's Orlando, Massachusetts, Vegas, Arizona, whoever, I mean, like, to that credit, who the teams are in the indoor football league who are moving players up to the UFL, to the CFL, whatever it can be. And so, I mean, yeah, you got to give credit where it's due, but you can also take a joke from time to time too. You got to admit that one was pretty good.
That was a good joke.
I'm not even going to reply to this, but this is...
Well, yeah, come on. We all know. Yeah.
I gave you your thank you again. Honestly, though, thank you, really, for helping him get up.
Called him a servant on Twitter.
What?
You had a tweet where you called him a servant.
Who?
You.
What? Oh, yeah, servant leadership.
Is that what you meant? Okay, I thought you just straight up called him a servant.
No, I said servant leadership.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing to say.
I took that out of context. My bad. That's my fault.
Me and Coach D have been having very positive social media interactions the last 2 weeks, right? After he wrongfully put a laughing emoji on 2 of my posts. After that, we've been good. So let's just try to keep that positive streak going.
And that's your weekly update on Krish and Mike Davis's relationship. But now we're going to transition over. The other player that played in the NFL game last night that came out of the IFL came directly from an IFL team this offseason. Is it Keyshawn Johnson or Keyshawn Johnson?
Keyshawn.
Okay.
Keyshawn, yeah.
I just hadn't heard it pronounced, so I wasn't
Western Kentucky legend. But yeah.
Played 52 snaps in 3 games. Was prior to last night 0 for 3 on targets, but then he went 4 for 4 for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns last night. So pretty good performance there. Also graded out pretty high as a run blocker, so might have a good opportunity to make the team there. So any thoughts on Keyshawn Johnson? Anybody?
If you give effort to block, you can be on special teams.
Yep. Whatever it takes. Blocking, special teams, kick coverage, kick return coverage, whatever you need. Whatever you got to do, get to the nitty gritty. You can make a 53-man roster.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He came from New Mexico, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Hey, good on him for being able to shine and make his way back up. On a team that didn't do very well this season. So that just shows that he's doing something right, whether it's his agent or the film he put out there or what.
Oh no, it's his agent. New Mexico had no connection to any level of football.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but maybe not. It's probably his agent, if I'm being honest. But
no, he was on Green Bay's practice squad in 2024, I believe, the end into 2025.
I think it was 2025 actually.
Was it?
Yeah. When I was looking up all the stats on him last night, it showed him on a roster in 2025. But regardless,
But
I mean,
and this is one thing I want to point out too. That tells me all about the type of guy he is and character. For him to be out of it for a year and then to bring him back, that means he comes in and he does the right thing. And it's same thing with Israel Antoine getting the opportunity to go up. That means I know he comes in and does the right thing. So guys like that will forever get opportunities to move up. It's good.
Agreed. I think that's probably going to about do it for IFL this morning. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll shift over to the TAL and the AF1. We'll say.
Oh, New Mexico though. We got to talk one last thing. Who
I mean, do we really need to spend time on that again?
I mean, who should they hire? Like, this is a big.
Do we want to do this?
I mean,
let's take a vote. Cody, do you want to do it? Do you want to speculate on
Nate
coaches?
Davis will be the head coach.
Okay, there's the speculation. Krish, who do you think the head coach should be?
Gary Thomas.
TJ?
Cedric Bonner.
That would be interesting. I mean, he is very closely tied to the IFL currently. Just saying.
I just want to see him on the sideline screaming, "Read the room" to another reporter, because that was great that one game.
Yes, Keyshawn Johnson did come from the CFL. He was briefly up with Saskatchewan.
No, he wasn't. That's a different Keyshawn Johnson. There's two. I got confused too. But that guy is he's been up there for a minute.
I swear he might have been on a. Let me double check all that. I'll come back to you guys next week. I could be wrong, but I swear he was on a roster. I don't think he actually played in games, but he was briefly on a training camp roster or something like that. But I could be wrong. Let me check my information before I misspeak.
You don't want to admit that Gary Thomas would leave in a second if he was offered New Mexico, and we both know that. But I'm not even going to go down that road.
It's not my place to say what Gary Thomas wants to do. As far as that goes, I mean, we've had conversations. We'll see what happens. But
awkward.
Sorry, I was reading your comment. On that note, let's hit a commercial break. We'll come right back to discuss Kenny Vaccaro, official for the AF1. Which I think is a really big deal, but we'll talk about that in a moment. right. So as I spoke about in the lead up just a moment ago, Kenny Vaccaro is officially the head coach of the Austin Bulls. So we haven't gotten a arena announcement for the Bulls, so definitely, we'll be keeping an eye out on that. But what are your guys' thoughts overall on the fact that Kenny Vaccaro will be the new head coach for the Austin, Texas Bulls? It's now official. We all know he does not really have a background in coaching or arena football for that matter. Only retired from the NFL, I believe, in 2021. So just a little bit of background information for you guys. Let's go to TJ first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of specific arena indoor experience is, a little disheartening, I guess. But I mean, at the same time, the guy had spent 8 or 9 years in the NFL. But then after his playing career, he was the founder and CEO of Gamers First. So he has the business side to him as well. So I think that is going to help with sponsorships, things like that, So not only does he know football, I think he can adjust to the arena game and also know the business side, know how to really get involved in the community, really help spread the word. I really like the hire. I think it's good.
Agreed. Krish, what are your thoughts?
He might not even show up. But let's first get that out of the way. I think there's a good chance he doesn't even coach the game for the team. Also, my advice to him is be prepared. Tony O'Neill is coming for his spot. So Tony wants that head coaching job. We all know this. Right? Tony's too big of a personality to be an assistant coach at any level of football. Any level. Also, he's out there recruiting players already, Tony. So Tony built the entire roster already. So I don't know if he's communicated that with the ownership and the head coach, or I just don't know what's going on in Austin. But my first question is, where's the arena? I don't even know how you let a team in a league without an arena lease. Like that doesn't make sense to me at all. So I'm just confused with Austin. I'm not really sold on what they got going down there, to be honest. I hope it works out for them because it's a great market. But as soon as I saw, old boy from A7FL, Wallace, was involved, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm out on this team, to be honest. But I know you're a big A7FL guy, so.
Right, but as Krish would say, there's levels to this shit, right? So with that in mind, A7FL doesn't even pay their players. It's all the tournament style. So you have to win a tournament to win any money. Very, very different levels. So I don't think, while I do respect what the A7FL does, and I have just the utmost respect for those players because they're playing for the love of the game. And, obviously that can be very dangerous. But with that, I don't think that necessarily translates to success at the professional level for coaches or players. It doesn't guarantee it. No. Can it manifest? Yeah, absolutely. Can he find success? Absolutely. But
I haven't seen one social media post made by Kenny Vaccaro on being Austin Bulls. That's me. I mean, he might have made one. I might have not been paying attention, but from what last time I checked on his Instagram, I've seen nothing. So that's kind of like, I'm kind of confused by that, to be honest.
That's questionable. Definitely questionable. We have been down that route before where NFL names were tied to a team and they didn't, mention much. Cody, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, with him being hired, I really just think it's like a marketing ploy. Vaccaro was an alum at the University of Texas, played there, was a first-round pick. I really think it's just that marketing. Like, hey, we got a former UT Longhorn here. Let's pack the building. What building? I don't know. You figure it out. Like, I don't know. Like, there's so much up in the air that we've talked multiple weeks about multiple expansions of, hey, some teams have their ducks in a row, and then you look at this going, what are we doing? And again, it even makes it look more of a black eye because it's the AF1, and you just kind of look at that going, kind of been down this road before with some of these teams. Where are we going? What are we doing? So, yeah, to Krish's credit, I would not be shocked if Vaccaro is not there in week 1. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's there if he's not there. You just don't know anything about this team. A lot of their stuff is AI generated, which I hate, but at the same time, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Agreed. I mean, there just isn't really a lot of information out there quite yet about them. You know, we might sound skeptical, but that's just because we don't know enough about them yet to really feel super comfortable in what they've got going on yet. So, what don't necessarily mean to be super negative about the situation. Ultimately, if Kenny Vaccaro does end up coaching there, that's a hell of a hire. It's going to be great for the community. People are going to come out to games, most likely to, even if it's just to meet him, you know, which is all good for the team, right? So the logic behind the hire, assuming that it works out for both parties, is sound. I mean, we can't argue that. That's without a doubt. So
saying that you're going to pay certain players X amount of dollars before you even have an arena is insane to me. I mean, I heard they offered someone 17. I'm like, what? What are we doing? You know, like it's confusing to me.
Yeah, like I said, I can't speak on his money. I don't know where it comes from other than
that. Look at Kentucky. You know, they went after Southwest players. You know, they went after Shiloh, Golden, all those guys. And all those guys were left stranded, you know, because
I wouldn't say stranded, but yeah, they were left in a pretty rough situation toward the end of the season. You are correct on that, but let's go ahead and transition over. Or is there anything else about the AF1 yet that we would like?
Yeah, Long Beach should be announced here soon. I heard. I think next week they'll put out an announcement about Long Beach. So letting you guys know that team is coming to the AF1. Michigan is still looking for a head coach. But they should just hire Tom Manas at this point, to be honest. But
yeah, I mean, if it's the arena style, you're in Michigan, he's local. Why wouldn't you? Okay, real quick thoughts, TJ, on a team in Long Beach.
Long Beach. That makes me think of the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I don't know. Anything. I mean, I hate to say it, but anything involving the AF1, I try to be very cautious with, just because they're developing that not so great track record. You know, I just, if they do, I just hope the AF1 has a very solid offseason this year and a good next season, because I think next season is very pivotal for them. I would love to see them expand anywhere. Long Beach, why not? But they have to stabilize first, in my opinion. And, the last 2 years, first season, forgiven, not too bad. But last year this past season, they took a major step back, in my opinion. So they really need to clean it up.
Fair point. Cody, any thoughts on Long Beach?
Adding Long Beach just reminds me of excuse me, 2015 arena football, where it was just San Jose, Arizona, Vegas, all those teams in that pocket on the west, and then you had Philly and Cleveland and Tampa and stuff like that on the there was nothing in the middle of the country. And that's why I feel at least they've got Austin, at least they've got Beaumont for right now. But I'm just sitting there going, are we just repeating the same mistakes of the AFL 2.0 or whatever, where you're just going to have teams on both coasts and then you have to fly to different places? I don't know. I mean, Long Beach is fine in the grand scheme of things, but eventually you're going to have to find ways to get these bridges to connect. And, okay, cool, Washington has another travel partner, but Washington's still on an island in the Pacific Northwest. At least Oceanside and Long Beach can play 4 times a season. I don't know. Like I said, it's not a bad spot necessarily, but money, insurance, workers' comp, I mean, it's California.
Just a little side note. Literally found this as we're sitting here talking. There is an amphitheater in Long Beach in Long Beach called F&M Bank Amphitheater. Where else do we hear of F&M Bank? That would be F&M Bank Arena in Clarksville, Tennessee, where the Nashville Cats play. Just a small little connection there that might mean something in the future. I'd be very interested to figure out if there's a connection there. So, great movie. And Snoop Dogg, Long Beach. Yeah, something like that.
And Oceanside, I heard, is interviewing people for the head coaching opening too. So keep an eye on that.
Be interesting to see who they're targeting for sure. But we're going to take
Coach
a quick.
Thomas for Oceanside.
You know, if Oceanside wasn't such a mess, there might be some traction to that one. California would be a pretty sweet place to live for a couple months out of the year, I imagine, especially Oceanside, California. But on that note, let's hit a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. It'll be a short one this time, and we will get into the little bit we have on the TAL. All right, we're back, and we are going to discuss some rather unfortunate news that has been kind of surrounding the. Oh my Lord, here we go again. I mean,
it's not negativity; it is truth. It is truth. We want it to succeed.
At this point, I'm just going to say thank you for watching, because you show up every week and you comment, so I can't ask for much more. Thank you for being here. Hopefully we have an expansion announcement to talk about soon. Hopefully, we've got a bunch of other stuff coming. No, you did not miss it. We're still live. Glad that you guys are so hard at work and very excited to see what you guys come up with for your name in the very near future. Hopefully we can get you back on to discuss that. But on that note, there has been a lot of stuff surrounding the TAL. A lot of negative things surrounding the TAL. We've kind of touched on them here a couple times before, but we've never quite laid it out and really spoken about it at length. But it does kind of seem like we are trending towards the end of the Arena League moving forward. So basically what has transpired so far this offseason that we have confirmed, obviously, is Arkansas has moved over to the IFL. That was announced very recently by the IFL and Arkansas. I mean, obviously, that's very public. We're all aware of that at this point. What has not been discussed publicly yet, but has been on every message board, Facebook group, et cetera, is that Memphis has now been purchased away from the league. This is purely speculation. This is just, the rumors from the grapevine. This is not from any source or anything like that. So there is that as well. They are apparently looking at moving into other leagues. Every other team in the league apparently is looking at other leagues at this point. So that opens up questions about the future of the TAL. If all of your teams are looking to leave the league, there has to be a reason. So what do we ultimately see the future of the TAL looking like? Do they come back? Do they continue to play? Do these teams break up? What do we see happening here ultimately? I'm going to go to Cody first on this one.
So the league started out as a 4-team league, and I could easily see some of these expansion teams or even some of the original teams leaving back to a 4-team league. So whether or not it is a team like Memphis leaving, you've seen Arkansas leave, Duluth has left. Regardless of what happens, I mean, like I said, you could still function as a 4-team league. They've kind of made that known, and then slowly expand back to what it was. But yeah, it almost feels like the writing could be on the wall for this league. And I'm not trying to sound negative. Sorry if there's AF1 fan 2004, but TAL version. Not trying to sound negative, but at the same time, you've seen teams get poached. You've seen where Can this league survive? Yes, but they're eventually going to have to expand either west or east, and some of that is blocked, especially to the west, with IFL, with an AL, and then you look towards the AF1, towards the east, and kind of that northeast area. Even southeast, IFL's got a little pocket and a corridor. AAL has a lot of a presence, or a huge presence, excuse me, down in that southeast region as well. So it's like, where do you kind of go? Unless you're going to start doing kind of an AF1 thing where you start putting teams on the West Coast or teams really up in New England and like Boston or things like you're kind of limited, especially when it comes to travel. They want to travel by bus. They want to go like that. So you've kind of limited yourself. And if some of these teams don't want to be in that league, they might get poached. So I'm not sure. They could definitely consolidate down back to a 4-team league, but it seems like the writing could be on the wall.
It does seem like we're trending that direction. UFL Isaac, we did cover the AAL, although I forgot to mention something, so I'm going to circle back. Just a quick aside at the end of the show. It's nothing major, but if you're an AAL fan, it might be interesting for you. TJ, what are your thoughts on the TAL and ultimately the rumors surrounding the league?
Yeah, I mean, initially, I kind of had the same thought process as Cody. I was thinking, all right, well, if, some of the teams leave, they started small, they can just kind of, power through it. But, the more you look, the more you hear online and everything else, it doesn't necessarily, you don't hear or see the how do we move on in the TAL. It's more of how do we move on individually as teams? Where are we going next year? So to me, it sounds like something happened. I mean, honestly, the TAL, maybe they got to the point at this during this season where they kind of looked and said, okay, we've been around for a few years. We kind of have our own thing going on, but at the same time, where are we going from here? And maybe there were just question marks. Maybe there was, unresolved issues, and maybe that led to it. I'm not sure, but yeah, unfortunately, it does seem, like I said, you see more of where are the teams going as opposed to how will the Arena League continue. So that's not a good sign.
Right. One thing to note as well that I forgot to bring up when we broached the subject is recently a very similar looking branding to the Eau Claire Axemen has popped up in connection with potentially the AIF. I think they're called the Forest Area Woodsmen, and their logo is so very similar, and the colors are almost identical. So I'm kind of speculating that might be the future of the Axemen, but we'll see here. This comment is hilarious, and I have to pull this up before we go to Krish. But according to my sources, Krish, Puerto Rico will be joining the TAL. Natural train of progression there. We got to get Puerto Rico a team. As far as I know, they haven't had one. It's time. But Krish, what are your thoughts on the TAL?
I'm going to make some bold predictions, unlike you guys. So Monroe and Memphis will join the American Arena League. Nebraska will go away because they won't be able to find an owner. That's my opinion. Ozark, Iowa will join the NAL. I think Ozark and Iowa will both join the National Arena League. I think if Iowa goes away, Jeff Holmes will come on as a minority partner of the league, National Arena League. I think that's the only league he would consider. And yeah, that's it. And Eau Claire will join the whatever AI. I don't know, but
I don't necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess the Jeff Holmes thing is pretty.
If Monroe goes to the American Arena League, Memphis will come. You see what I'm saying? Because they're connected. But that's my opinion.
See, my thought process there is, I don't know that Monroe has ownership. I mean, to me, they were one of the last teams to get moving. So maybe I'm wrong in that, but I felt like that was something there was going on, like whether they didn't have ownership or they didn't really have the proper GM in place. Sorry, Brian. But whereas I actually think Nebraska is going to be around one way or another. I think that organization, you could pretty much let them go right now, give them ownership of the team, and I think they'd be fine. I think they would make it work, no problem. In fact, I have the utmost faith in that organization to continue on regardless of the league. It's honestly not even a question in my mind at this point. Memphis, I do think you're probably right. They probably do end up either. I mean, it would probably make more sense for them to be in the AAL regionally. I don't think it makes sense for them to join the NAL really, unless they dramatically improve their setup and find a different venue. I just don't think that that would work out for the NAL standards. I think Monroe, to my knowledge, does not have ownership, so they probably end up going away ultimately, in my opinion. I think that St. Joe, I think they have some ownership, but I'm not sure if a majority of the team is owned. So I don't know if they have the backing or the financial situation set up to where they could walk away from the league and stand on their own 2 feet. I just don't know that situation yet. Iowa is a big question mark for me because I have not heard a thing about Iowa at all. So I don't know what they're going to do. So how's that for some bold predictions, Krish?
I like that. I like that you kind of went out your comfort zone and made some big predictions.
Yeah, I went out of my comfort zone. Honestly, I will say that I mean, I know I kind of harped on that a little bit there, but I think Nebraska could be a great addition to multiple teams or multiple leagues. I mean, if you're AAL, you have to see the value in adding Nebraska if you already have the Tri-City team there. If you're the NAL, you have to see the value in adding another Nebraska team, for travel with Omaha, Sioux City, etc. So I think there's a lot to like about that franchise in particular, especially because there was no lack of sponsorships for that team or partnerships this team.
I would love to see Nebraska and Omaha play each other, like you said, 3 times.
That would be sweet, right?
Pat Pimmel and Dominic Ramonte going head to head. That would be fun.
It would be, and a nice little regional rivalry there for Omaha and Nebraska as well, which I think would be cool because they both do things great. Like I said, I've gotten a very inside look at how things work in Nebraska thanks to our guy LeCedric, and we'll be coming out with that hopefully in the very near future. But they do things first class, and I think the NAL will be excited to add that team if they could. It's just some questions about the legality of everything still. So with that being said, I did want to say that I have not done my due diligence and a very good job of saying that one of our people will be in attendance for the Montgomery Catfish tryouts that will be coming up. In fact, so we're very excited about that. Just a continued step in our partnership with the AAL and trying to cover all of these leagues with more on-site content. So this will be one of the first tryouts we've been to for a team. So we're very excited about that. And shout out to our guy, Matt Razier, one of the writers on the website who does a lot of the video content and photo content for us as well. He writes for the magazine, just really overall workhorse for the team. And very excited that he's able to go out there. And
I forgot. Good point, Brian. I forgot about the GOAT. National Arena League. My prediction.
Footprint wise, there's a lot of leagues they could fit in. AAL, I mean, you could even make an argument for AIF if they have Texas teams still. So, Cody, any thoughts?
I mean, again, we're talking about teams in the TAL where you have to add a kicker, nets, everything like that. So you have to look at the arena and how it suits up. I'm not sure how the arena in St. Joe will kind of go. Every time I've watched a St. Joe game, and it's kind of the reason I haven't really, they're an hour away from where I'm at, and the lighting, the arena, just something just seems off about it. So this is the reason I've just never really gotten in tune with them or the TAL in general. So they can fit anywhere, but at the same time, is St. Joe a place they want to go, or do they have to relocate back to Kansas City? I don't know.
TJ, any thoughts on the GOATs?
I mean, I could see AL, NAL. Yeah, probably one of those two. You know, I don't see too many teams taking the jump to the IFL just because of cost and things like that. Like Cody said, every team moving from the TAL already has to adjust and get more stuff to begin in another league anyway. So,
agreed on that front. There's definitely going to be a cost increase to go to any of these leagues for some of these TAL teams, and they do have to inflate their rosters and some other things as well. So that is all a factor as well. But I think that about wraps it up for today. Zachary, nothing personal here, my guy, but this is not an NFL show. We don't really address stuff on there. We did 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point. I apologize. Sometime in the last 3 to 4 shows, we have discussed IFL and indoor players going back to college. In fact, I think last week we discussed a Louisiana player that is going back to college. So definitely check that out as well. Multiple TAL turfs for sale via Coach Solo.
Yeah, he posted that on his Facebook. So
interesting. There's a lot of questions about that, but
I want to give a shout out though. You know, this is really important to me. You know, I wanted to shout out the Louisiana Rougarou organization. You know, Keith Carter, Steve Walters, for showing how not to run a head coaching search. So that's my shout out for today.
All right. On that note, that seems like a perfectly good time to end the show before we go down a whole nother tangent. Just wanted to remind you guys, we are about to close out our giveaway. And as I was just telling these guys earlier this morning, we do not have a lot of entrants. And if I'm about to give it to anybody, it looks like it's going to be one of TJ's 37 burner accounts that have entered. So if that's the case and you don't want to see TJ get something free from us already, you should enter this. And it's very simple to enter. As you all know, you follow Indoor and Arena Football, our guy Matt Razier, on really any social media platform, whether it's Facebook or TikTok primarily, and find the contest keyword. I'll give you guys a hint. It's barrels. Join our mailing list at shadysportsnetwork.com. Comment the contest keyword live during any episode of Around the Indoor Football World until we close the giveaway. We initially said it was going to be closed at the championship game for the IFL. However, we have very little entrants. So with that being the case, we're going to leave it open for a little while longer and probably close it in a couple weeks. Hopefully we get a few more people entered and we can, you know, have a little bit bigger pool of people to potentially give this thing to. But on that note, we will catch you guys next Saturday at 8 a.m. or around that time, Eastern time. And hopefully we have some great guests for you next week. Again, I'm sure there will be plenty more information to talk about next week. And we close this one out just over 2 hours. So catch you guys next week. Thanks to everybody who watched. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button and go subscribe to Cody's channel In the Alley on YouTube. Have a good one.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.